Hello, and welcome back to Top 10 Tunes, your top 10 channel for everything music related. Today, we're going to be looking at the top 10 metal albums of all time, as published by Rolling Stone magazine. At number 10 is Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera. This glam-turned-groove metal act managed to walk right into the mainstream with this release. While their previous album Cowboys from Hell announced their arrival, this album showed that they would dominate the sound of metal throughout the 1990s. At number 9 is Blizzard of Ozz by Ozzy Osbourne. After being booted from Black Sabbath in 1979, few anticipated that this Birmingham native would have such a comeback. Joined by former Quiet Riot guitar player Randy Rhoads, this album would be a pop metal crossover success that still resonates to this day. At number 8 is Peace Sells, But Who's Buying by Megadeth. Another story of a comeback, Dave Mustaine's second album with Megadeth would rival that of his former bandmates in Metallica. Encouraged to write music that was both heavier and faster than his former bandmates, the music of Megadeth is actually quite complex. Nevertheless, MTV found their theme for news in this scathing political statement. Coming in at number 7 is No Remorse by Motorhead. Always one to dismiss the label of heavy metal in the first place, Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead always insisted that they were a rock and roll band. This compilation album of songs released throughout the band's career reinforces this statement. Much like rock and roll artists of the 1950s, you find a unique sound and you play it to death. At number 6, we have Rain in Blood by Slayer. Third album from this thrash metal group, they stripped away all pretense and went for the jugular. Teamed with famed producer Rick Rubin, this album is brief, abrasive, and a defining statement in thrash metal music. Rounding out our top 5 for this list is Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. The album's so good they had to name it twice. This was the album that arguably started the genre of heavy metal. While purists will find remnants of blues and jazz improvisation, this album was miles ahead of its contemporaries. With just the sound of a tritone in the title track, a genre was born. At number 4 is Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. Already spearheading the new wave of British heavy metal, this third album saw the band skyrocket in popularity. Replacing vocalist Paul Di'Anno with former Samson frontman Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden found a frontman that could truly soar. Combine this with the songwriting of bass player Steve Harris, and you can find the influence of Iron Maiden in heavy metal to this day. At number 3 is British Steel by Judas Priest. Spawning the hit singles Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight, Judas Priest found a way to marry heavy metal music with the mainstream. The twin guitar playing of Tipton and Downing, combined with the voice of Rob Halford, still define what heavy metal sounds like to this day. At number 2 is Master of Puppets by Metallica. Expanding thrash metal to progressive and epic territory, Metallica released their defining statement with this album. An album centered around the theme of control, it would ironically spell creative freedom for the members of Metallica. While their self-titled release in 1991 saw them reach the peak of their popularity, it was this album that cemented their legacy. Claiming our number 1 spot is Paranoid by Black Sabbath. Released in 1970, shortly after their self-titled debut, this album features many of their hits. To this day, the main riff of Iron Man is still the sound of an aspiring guitar player. On the album Black Sabbath, this group invented the genre, but on Paranoid, they perfected it. Thank you for watching Top 10 Tunes. Be sure to comment your video suggestions down below, as well as like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.